Hi there. So I just wanted to say that whoever's idea for a video this was, it was a terrible idea. It was mine, but it was such a bad idea. I started out today not thinking I had that many pet peeves, and I ended with just like pages upon pages of lists of things that drive me crazy. I'm just gonna read off like the first couple or so, not rank them or order like anything, or it would go on forever. But so many little things bothered me that I never even noticed until today, and now I'm all self-conscious. I'm afraid I'm going to do things that, you know, are hypocritical or something, or like fixing my hair too many times in this video, or bouncing, or like sitting uncomfortably close to the camera, or anything like that. I'm just overly touchy on those things. So anyway, some of my pet peeves. The first one I have on the list is when people include themselves in stories they weren't a part of. Drives me crazy. This has happened a lot, particularly in the Boy Scouts, because we do everything together, and then there comes a time when like you're on your own doing something, and then suddenly everyone was there with you. You know, like, oh, once we went camping and it was raining the whole time, and someone's like, oh, I remember that, and I was the only one who brought a tent, and I'm like, you weren't there. So yeah, that frustrates me to no end. Oh, when people credit classic songs or movies or TV shows or pieces of artwork, I don't know, to modern artists, or like those songs, there are those songs that came out and it like, there's this one song that it starts out like the first part of like Dexy's Midnight Runners or something like that. I don't know. And you're like, yeah, Dexy's Midnight Runners is on. Or it's not that. It's something like by Billy Idol. I don't know. There's this one song. And so whenever it comes on the radio, I'm like, yes, 80s songs on the radio. And then it's not. It's like some weird rap song that just starts out like the same as Come On Eileen. I don't know. It's so weird. That's frustrating. Oh, and then people who argue about things that they can't change. I mean, I guess I do that. I guess I'm doing that right now to some extent. But when people talk, like, bicker about things that them bickering won't have any effect on, that frustrates me. Also, when people complain about things that they don't try to change. You know, when people are like, oh, I slept until noon, I didn't get anything done today. I'm like, that's because you slept until noon. Wake up earlier if it bothers you that much. And then they never do. It's like, they don't like sleeping until noon, but they don't ever do anything different. Or like girls who complain about being overweight. It's like, eat less, you know, or learn to like yourself the way you are. I don't know, figure it out. And then people who discuss things that are like off topic or completely irrelevant or not interesting, and they just are like, this is the most intellectual thing ever and we're just going to discuss it. And like, no, it's really not. Like stop for a minute, take like a 5-minute perspective break, and then come back to it. And if it still fascinates you, then you can talk about it. But if it doesn't, like, go do something else. Like cure cancer, I don't know. Oh, also people who correct grammar or like false information just to seem superior. I'm a grammar Nazi. I'll correct grammar. But it's because it like honestly drives me crazy that it's like the degradation of the English language. When people just correct grammar to be like, oh, I found lair, like you're using the wrong form of its, just to point out the fact that it's wrong, and they're like, yes, I'm smarter than you. That is frustrating. Unless, because now I have to defend myself so that I don't seem too hypocritical, if they're pointing it out just to, I can't do it, I'm a hypocrite. Except I just like grammar a lot. I like grammar a lot, and I like it to be correct. So, here's one that is more a reflection on my faults than anything else. But I kind of hate it when people who like my favorite things like them for reasons that I don't agree with. And this doesn't make any sense, because who am I to judge, why a TV show is good, or, my opinions on something may not be the only opinions in the world. But when people I'm just going to take Doctor Who for instance. I love Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who a lot. And when people are like, oh yeah, I love Doctor Who, it'd be so cool to travel around with a hot alien all the time. I'm like, that's not why you like Doctor Who. Doctor Who has so much more depth than you can ever comprehend in your tiny little brain, and it's not because the Doctor is really attractive. Get over it. That's something that I'm working on overcoming. So far the progress has not been very good. So help me out on that one. Also, I don't like when people act. I'm falling. I'm on a yoga ball right now, so it's a little wobbly. I don't like it when people act like they're experts in certain subjects when they really know nothing about it. I get this a lot in the horse world. I've been around horses for 17 years, and when people come up and they're like, oh yeah, I rode horses for a year when I was 12, and I'm like, that's great, and then they start trying to tell me why you need to get these vaccinations, and I'm like, you have nothing to back up this argument that you're trying to make. Just stop talking before I punch you. Noisy eaters. Can't stand them. People who slurp their cereal, when they have the milk and they just or people who make yummy noises when they eat. Just eat your sandwich and be quiet. Please. People who pretend to like intellectual or nerdy things just to seem smart. Like people who are like, oh yeah, I love Big Bang Theory, and they don't get any of the jokes in it. Or, oh yeah, I read Art of War. I don't know, I have Art of War. No, that's War and Peace, never mind. But yeah, people who, they're like, I read that dissertation on gravity, I don't know, and then they don't understand any of it. They're just and then they feel like they can talk about it, and it's like, no, you just want to sound smart, but you're really not. Just accept the fact that you didn't read that, and it's okay. And then people who suck at time management and then bitch about it. This kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier about sleeping till noon, but not really. But people who say they have no time for anything, but then you add up the amount of time they wasted during the day, and it's 14 hours of just wasted time. Do something with that. You don't have to be productive all the time, but, don't say that you can't go out with your friends because you have no time and then spend 12 hours on the internet. I don't understand that. So, oh my god, this is 8 minutes. I've just been talking incessantly about things that bother me. I'm gonna keep going. This is the special Garrett section because Garrett just drives me crazy sometimes. I dedicated a little section to him of things that he does that make me want to slap him. And I actually have slapped him for these things before. When he comes over, he touches things constantly. Constantly is touching everything in my room. And I can't figure out why. It's he can't sit still. He just has to go around touching all of my things. And that's it doesn't bother me when anyone else does that. It's just Garrett. I don't know why. And then he's always clumsy about things. So he's going around touching things, he can't sit still. He has to touch everything. And then he's not delicately picking them up or anything. He's just going around, and I'm exaggerating this obviously, but he just knocks stuff over. I think every time he's over here, he breaks something. I have those plastic glasses with the Disney like movie scenes on them, and then I have like nice glass ones, and I never let him use the glass ones. And one time he was here and he's like, Rachel, why can't I use the glass glasses? I'm like, because you break them, Garrett. And he's like, I do not. And he reaches up to like get one and like knocks them all off the shelf, and he catches them. But I'm like, and that's why you have to use the plastic ones. And he's like, fine. And then he's too warm in the middle of the night. He spends the night here all the time, and like we sleep together on the couch, and he's just a little like toaster oven, a space heater or something, and you try to move away from him and like push him away, and he just like cuddles closer to you, and you're like pushing him off, and he like keeps coming back for more, and he's so warm all the time, and he like puts his warm feet on you, and you're lying there in the middle of the night like sweating your guts out, and Garrett's all like on top of you, just like radiating heat. And then he can't manage simple tasks. Like I'll take him out to the barn to do my evening chores, and I'll be like, Garrett, will you fill up the water buckets? How hard is that to like put the hose in the bucket and like turn it on, and then when it's full, like move it to the next bucket? And he like can't figure that out at all. And I'm like, just sit there and don't hurt yourself, and it'll be fine. And I'm just gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop there because it's been 11 minutes and he's a good kid and I love him to death. So yeah. Also, Kayla, if one of your pet peeves is people being late for things, I apologize for that because that's definitely my fault, that it bothers you that much. So, love you. Bye.